Guys, good morning. Happy Wednesday. It's Daryl here. It's 4 a.m. bright and early here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, it's the day after the Derek Chauvin verdict. Guilty on all three counts. And like I kind of anticipated, there's a lot of blowback from the right-wing media, right-wing talking heads. I saw a particularly appalling tweet. I think it was from Tony Lauren, if I'm pronouncing her name right. Something along the lines of guilty. Are you happy now, you people? Are you people happy now? I suppose there won't be looting of the local Foot Locker. Something, I'm kind of paraphrasing there, but something, she picks a Foot Locker and she talks about you people and stuff like this. Just appalling. And I saw a few comments. I saw a lot of comments about Black Lives Matter being disingenuous about using black people, and I saw a lot of the right talking, or the right talking about democratically run cities festering with crime, and how nobody talks about that. Black on black violence and all this, and how they just love the right wing here. They love to talk about democratically run cities, and to me that is the biggest load of BS. Let me just get into it and let me tell you guys what I experienced. You guys know my past. I've been clean and sober since October 23rd, 2006, over 14 years. I used for 2.5 decades, and I wasn't just a casual user. I was a hardcore heroin, crack cocaine, pills addict every day for 2.5 decades. I have more than a passing familiarity with dealing, distribution, using. I know a lot. I was very familiar with it. Let me talk about this. So they blame that all this stuff about defunding the police and democratically run cities and being easy on crime, and it just amazes me, because people like me, people that have been involved in this, I know without a doubt that illicit drug use are without a doubt the cause of almost every rape, murder, theft, robbery, you name it. It goes back to illicit drug use, the vast majority of it, without a doubt. There is such an incredible. I don't think people can, people that haven't been involved in this, they watch movies, and they don't understand the reality of this, the incredible amount of money that's involved in this. Now, you look at this little city, this little town where I live, 99.9% white, Caucasian, now here, upper middle income. Now, could I go to any street corner here and buy, like, if I was still using? No, of course not. That would never be allowed here. Is it because it's Republican or democratically run? No, it has nothing to do with that. It's because this is a Caucasian neighborhood. Whatever I needed, I would have to go down to, there's 4 main cities in Connecticut: Waterbury, New Haven, Hartford, and Bridgeport. And back during my days, I went to all these cities. Now, the people, there's a lot of good people in all of these cities that do not want this stuff in their neighborhoods. And I'm not going to start, I have no evidence here to talk about why for some reason that law enforcement, why this is still happening, this drug dealing is still happening. It's every day just goes on and on in these areas. Why African Americans, Hispanic Americans are more recruited into the drug trade, these areas, because they're low income. Law enforcement basically turns a blind eye to a lot of this stuff in these neighborhoods, where they wouldn't out here in this upper middle income neighborhood. And that's the truth of it. In these neighborhoods, and there's good people in these neighborhoods. I remember dozens of times. I was a different person back then. And I remember under the influence of these drugs that I'd want to use immediately. And I remember hiding behind a building or under a stairwell or wherever and being caught by good family members African American people that live in these neighborhoods, Hispanic family members, a father here, whatever. And I remember being told that I just better get the hell out. You know, they did not want this stuff in their neighborhoods, but it was there without a doubt. I remember on Fridays, it was ridiculous because it was payday for a lot of people. And you would see the cars coming off the exits from all of the rural, mainly Caucasian towns. You'd see the cars with two, three, four suspicious, nervous looking white gentlemen and some women. And you see the car, you'd see a parade of these cars going around these blocks, doing the nod to people dealing. And then they get what they need and they go back out. The influx of money, and now it's not all coming from, now granted, there's people of all different colors buying these drugs, but the money, the big money, is coming from the outside towns where a lot of people are getting paid on Fridays. And it's not just Fridays by any means. A lot of the inner city people that were addicted, that had drug problems, that live in these neighborhoods, had a much, I don't know how to describe this. They would buy $5 rocks, basically. There wasn't a whole lot of money from the people that were living, the addicts that were living in these neighborhoods. The big money was coming from the outside neighborhoods. And along with this, of course, now you have that kind of, like I said, I saw this time and time again, parades of cars going around the block, getting what they needed and going back out. That influx of money. I remember pulling into this one block and having my car surrounded by businessmen, let's call them, people that were young African Americans that were recruited into this. You think about it. If people that live in these neighborhoods with very little opportunity for education, for advancement, for good paying jobs, a 16-year-old kid, he can work at McDonald's for what, $8 an hour, or he could make $800 a day, literally easy right off the bat with this illicit trade. You know, and the people in the higher echelons of this distribution and the drug trade know this. They have a never-ending source where they can recruit new people to work on the streets like this. One of them goes to jail, that's fine. They just recruit another one. I can't tell you time and time again. I remember kids 12, 13, 14 years old on the streets. And again, you know, you have to look at the entire problem here. On the right, they're talking about Democrat-run cities and defunding the police. And by doing this too, they're blatantly ignoring what the real problem is here. The education, the availability of good-paying jobs and education and opportunity. And these neighborhoods are being used by the upper echelons of the drug trade as places to sell their wares, for people to deal their wares and all of that. The money is ridiculous. That is what is eating away our inner cities. For these right-wing talking heads to come on there and claim that it's a Democrat mayor that's causing all these problems is disingenuous, and it's just ignoring the problem. Until these things change, until people look at this honestly as why this is going on for not just for years, for decades. These neighborhoods are just being used and destroyed by this trade. It has nothing to do with Democrats or Republicans. It has to do with money and illicit narcotics. That's what's causing all this violence, black on black, whatever. And a lot of the crime, until we start treating addicts and not just throwing them in jail, realistically treating them and looking at the problem realistically and not just blaming it on our political opponents. This is just going to continue going on and getting worse. And it's not just going to affect people in the inner city. It's going to spread to the rural areas. It needs to, this nonsense about Democrat runs big cities being the problem, it has to stop. All right, you guys have a good Wednesday. I'll be back later with another video.